back to Business 125. I'm Mr. Rankin. Today we're going to walk through Chapter 5, Cash and Liquid Asset Management. A couple of the learning objectives. We're going to understand how to manage your cash and understand why you need liquid assets, why it's important to automate your savings, and how to choose among various institutions and services to help you manage your liquid assets. So to do this, let's go back to some of our, remember chapter 1 we talked about 10 key principles of personal finance. Let's talk about number 5, stuff happens, the importance of liquidity. Most experts would recommend an emergency fund of at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. So that's what you need to establish. You want to put that in a liquid account where you can turn it into cash quickly, a bank savings account, a bank checking account, money market. You don't want it tied up in like a certificate of deposit where you can't get at it without penalties. You want it where you can get it. Thirdly, you need to build as much of the normal emergencies into your budget, like the car breaking down, car maintenance, groceries, that stuff. True emergencies are where you have a job loss or a medical issue. If you want to build normal things like car breaking down, home repair, that stuff into your budget so that you're not always raiding your emergency fund. Raiding the emergency fund should be hopefully a rare occurrence. And you want to fund it by making it automatic. If you don't have a fund already, check with your employer and see if you can get $10, $20 each paycheck automatically deposited into a savings account at your bank. The other thing I want to touch on from the 10 principles is risks and rewards, because once you have your emergency fund established, you're probably going to want to then start considering putting investments into higher rate of returns like stocks, bonds. But you don't want to do any investing in that sort of stuff until you at least have your emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses established. So what are some of your alternatives? Well, there's 3 major institutions, and there are probably others, but the major ones are major banks. So these are the Bank of Americas of the world, etc. And they provide excellent services, and they're a good choice if it's convenient. You're going to have to do the research and fees and convenience and take all that into consideration, but I wouldn't argue with any of these. A credit union, we're fortunate. There are a lot of good credit unions in our area. They tend to pay a little bit higher rate and tend to have a little bit lower fees. In online banking, if you're comfortable with doing things online, they tend to even pay a higher rate of return because they don't have the cost of the facilities and buildings. Services, their checking accounts, their savings accounts, money markets, certificates of deposits, treasury bills, all sorts of different services. I would do some research and pick what you need. Most of us are going to need a checking account, and most of us are going to need a savings account. Now, the last thing I talk to people about is understand the impact of this decision. It's not, in my opinion, probably your choice of banking institution and your choice of services probably isn't the biggest financial decision you're going to make in your life. So I would do some research, but I wouldn't fret over 0.5% here or there, because let's say your annual expenses are $30,000. You're going to establish a 3-month emergency fund of $7,500. So if Sally says they get 0.5% more in interest, understand at their bank rather than your bank, understand we're talking about $37 a year. And so I don't think you're going to have large sums of money beyond your emergency fund in very liquid accounts. So my only point here is do your research, but understand I wouldn't be jumping bank to bank for 0.5% interest every time the rates change. Hope that helps. It's Mr. Rankin. There's my email address. Any questions on the chapter, let me know.